And welcome to this edition of Take the Fear Out of the Gear from me, Jason Bangers.
And me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
Today it gives us great pleasure to talk to you about something very close and dear to our hearts.
Sound recording.
Better than sound recording, more specifically.
Analog sound recording.
Analog sound recording. Roll them titles. Luckily enough, Tubes, between me and Simon we have an awful lot of equipment that we've accumulated over the last 30 plus years. And a lot of that stuff, in fact, a majority of that stuff is analog recording equipment. We have a considerable amount of reel-to-reel machines. And today we're going to show you one, which is a beautiful old Tascam MSR, that's M for Motel, S for Sugar, R for Romeo, 24 track, 1 inch tape at 15 IPS. And this actual machine, believe it or not, used to belong to the one and the only Fish from Marillion. And I have on good authority they demoed Kaylee on this actual machine. They demoed it, okay. So it's been upstairs, it's been in storage for, I want to say about 10 years. It's probably more like 6, isn't it, when you brought the Fairlight round. Simon has carried it downstairs for me. After bringing it down, he's put it back where it belongs in the recording studio, which was just the studio. And it is now all up and running and working. And today we're going to show you some good old analog recording done the old way. But we're not going to record, we're just going to play back, aren't we?
Yeah, and we've got to say a big thank you to one of our friends.
We have. I have got a mixing desk out there, which is a Soundcraft DC2000. It's so ahead of its time. It's got automation and touch screen. And the desk is probably best part 40 years old now. And the power supply is a monster. It's really a two-man lift, really. Yeah. One man can lift it. Someone like him, or big strong man, but really it wants two of you. And Alan, our friend Alan,
love you, brother.
His brother-in-law, in fact, he repaired it. He fixed it. For some reason, it was playing up. All the meter bridges were going mad. They were flashing. It was hissing. And I thought, that's it. My beloved mixing desk, which you cannot buy. You can't. I mean, look on YouTube for a Soundcraft DC2000. You just can't get them. They're rare. We did find a power supply come up for £400. Very tempted to try and sell something for 400 quid just so I could buy a power supply for it. But there's no telling whether that power supply would have been any good, is there, really?
No.
Because he ain't got a desk to test on the bloke who's selling it. And Alan done a beautiful job. He's fixed it. Everything works. We've had it running all day. It's beautiful. It's faultless. It's seamless. It's fantastic. It looks like it's never been race pace, rolled nor rallied, never guaranteed to bust, pick up, dust, bend, buckle or break. Alan, you are great, mate. And that is Alan.
You have made this video possible for us.
Now, yes. I'm going to let Simon explain to you what is analog recording and what is digital recording and why is analog recording better.
Well, that's put me on the spot there, Tubes. Well, obviously analog recording, you're recording onto analog tape. So that gives you like compression, doesn't it? You get the
more
tape.
You got so much headroom.
More headroom. You got
so much headroom.
The tape actually compresses, so if you drive it hard, it just almost sounds better, doesn't it?
Yes. And if you don't know what Simon means by driving it hard, then you shouldn't really be watching this video. Simple as that. That's it. What Simon means by driving it hard is by putting your level in too hot. Okay, if you put your guitar in and you go directly into the mixing desk, you got the volume put on your guitar, you got a input gain on your mixing desk, and if you push it, it will distort and sound horrible. Chances are, though, it will come through your mixing desk sounding horrible, but if you record that to tape, chances are it'll come back quite clean.
Very forgiving, isn't it?
Very forgiving.
Yeah. Where digital, especially in the early days of digital recording, where you've got to say convert your analog signal through a converter to digital to record it onto your computer or whatever machine you're using. In the early days, it wasn't so good, but we have got a Fairlight, and we'll show you that when we get it set up. And
the Fairlight is as good as tape.
Yeah,
as far as forgiveness.
Yeah, the Fairlight's got that kind of analog sound. I don't know how it does it. I suppose it's the converters it's used in it. Very, very good.
You can take that to the bank. Thing is with analog as well, anybody got a reel-to-reel machine at home of some reasonable quality, if you get yourself a CD, record it onto a reel-to-reel machine, and then play the CD and the reel-to-reel machine back through the same stereo. So I mean the same speakers and the same amp. So put your reel-to-reel machine into the auxiliary part and you will notice a difference, I promise you. It will sound rounder, bassier, nicer, smoother.
Warmer, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no really nasty hissy bits or anything. Analog is a dream to record on. You can almost get away without using compression with analog completely.
And I think what you said earlier was it's the most expensive format now to record on.
And you might say, show us some of this damn tape stuff then. So Tubes, here we are in the control room, which is probably the world's smallest control room, which was by design fault. But there's not much room to play with in here. This is a mixing disc, this is a mixing console. This is a Soundcraft DC2000. It doesn't have total recall, but it has full automation on return faders, which is all these silver ones you see here. It's 64 channels, right? So it's 32 that way and 32 that way, which is 32 here, silver ones, 32 white ones. These silver ones represent your playback, and these white ones represent your lines in, i.e. your instruments, okay? We just want to give you a quick demonstration. This is actually a touch screen on this thing. Like if I hit that button, it's come up, said new mix. We turn the mix off, we don't want a new mix. Of course, with today's recording, it's all on screen and we're having to try and push the faders up and down. And usually we haven't got a lot of space on the screen to move them, whereas with a nice full control there, it makes it really easy to do things on the fly. All your mutes and your solos in place are really at ease, really handy. And I don't know, is the machine in shot, Si?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna RTZ. Now for you at home, thinking what's RTZ? That means return to zero, which means it will go back to where I told it to start from. In case you've got a machine at home and you're wondering what that means, there you go, it stops. There is a button on there you can hit where it will automatically start playing straight from that point. Just to show you, right, if I rewind a section, hit autoplay, RTZ, return to zero, and we're off playing. So even the old stuff was quite modern in its ways. Now, you can't probably see, but all the way over there, the first 8 tracks have got a drum kit. Second 8 tracks, we've got rhythm guitars, keyboards. The next 8 tracks, we've got vocals and backing vocals. And you might be wondering, well, what's the next 8 tracks for? Well, they are your effect returns. So we're bringing down all the effects that we're adding on. You can see on this camera, you can see the lights are flashing. And that is our effects overloading over there. But I've only done that so that you can see them. We're not going to hear them, because if we did, they'd be distorted probably. I mean, if I was to turn one up now, you'll hear nothing. See that? We've got a hi-hat coming through a delay there, and it's okay. So let's just give you an idea. That's how you add effects when you're recording this way. So this is your main fader, right? And you've masked the volume for this mixing desk. I don't know how many knobs there is on here, but it's certainly hundreds. But you master, this is your main fader, but your master volume is all the way up here. Yes, it's confusing. You have volumes for your monitors, you have volume for the speakers in the studio, you have volumes for headphones, individuals, and all kinds. Now then, to put it down roughly, channel 1 bass drum, channel 2 snare drum. I'm going to actually show you them individually as we go. Solo in place. Now that's bass drum on its own. Simon, how's the level looking?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So solo in place, bass drum. You can hear the rest of the kit because I haven't had the isolation between each instrument. Isn't that fantastic? So we go from bass to snare. That sounds pretty poo, but when you add a little bit of magic dust, which will now solo in place the effects, and we'll add a little bit of reverb, that is what we call wetting it up. When we add a bit of reverb, it makes it sound wet. It's just a figure of speech, okay? There you go. Just gives it that nice. Hi-hats, toms, overheads. Right, tom sounded nice. There's the full drum kit with some effects. Let's add the bass guitar. That's Mr. John Sperlin himself, Spuddy Boy. Incidentally, this band is called Dickie Hart and the Tiggers. Keyboards, guitar, other guitars, vocals. Now, there's no vocals because we're in a guitar solo. You will notice at the moment I have got quite a few solos in place. To get rid of all of them, I've only got to hit one button, bosh, they've all gone. So we now hear the whole mix. So I'm now going to go back a wee little bit. We're going to rewind the machine. This is just you guys know all this. This is just a real quick basic. How's your father, basically? But we hope you find it interesting, because we do. We love it. It's nice to smell the tape, feel the analog, enjoy it. Look at the meters. Look how they're peaking. Look at the drum kit. Look, they're right up in the ridge. You wouldn't do that on digital. Let's have a listen to the whole thing. Come on, Spuddy Boy. Let's try and get the backing vocals to sound right now. I haven't used this gear for over 6 years probably. Oh, so many times. Good one, Nigel. Anyway, tubes, that is just a quick basic look at an old analog mixing disc, which you could quite easily use alongside and with digital technology today. I will now hand you over to the one and only, most competent Mr. Chumley Warner. Magic Man.
How you doing, tubes? We're going to have a talk about this wonderful Tascam MSR-24. Wonderful machine. 1 inch of pure analog gorgeousness. What have we got on the front panel here? Well, we've got all your 24 meters here, and then underneath here, these are like your arming buttons for each channel. So if you wanted to record the drums on the first 8 channels, press the buttons there and you're ready to record your drums. And then put those off. And then, I don't know if you can see under here, you've got all your transport controls. So you've got your stop, forward and reverse, play, record. And then, a bit like on the Fostex machines, the Tascams are very similar. You can set up two location points. You can set up different locations. So say if you want to go into a chorus and you want to set up the start of the chorus, the end of the chorus, so you can have a run through it with maybe one of the session players, you can do that, and the machine will just keep going back to the start, end of the chorus, until you tell it to stop. Obviously in the middle there you've got your counter. So Jay's got it set to 0 for the start of the song, and obviously you can start the machine from 0, you can tell it to go back to 0, and then you've got these ones here which are your inputs. So when you're in recording mode you can switch all the inputs on, or some of the inputs. And just here, we'll show you in a minute, this is the DBX noise reduction. So the Tascam machines had DBX noise reduction, the Fostex machines had Dolby C. And we've got a DBX on three lots here, so you've got 1 to 8, 9 to 16, 17 to 24. So if I press play, so that's without the DBX. And if I slowly put the DBX in, starting with the drums, then the back and then the vocals, you'll see the difference. you can probably hear it just sounds, it's like you just added the silk onto the recording. There's no hiss, it just sounds wonderful. So tape is very forgiving.
And expensive.
Yes, but here's an example of how forgiving it is. If we have a look over here, this is channel 3, I'm going to put the tape on in a minute, and you'll see channel 3, which is the tom channel, is just up in the red.
Which tom channel's that, Si?
Tom 1.
And of course that would be right next to the snare, wouldn't it?
It would do. So you can see how much is spilling over from the snare to tom 1. But it makes no difference. Let's press the play button and see what happens.
In fact, everything's up in the red, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Bangers likes to record in the red, but it doesn't matter, because on tape it almost sounds better if you're compressing the tape. You've got nothing to lose. Whereas if you're in a digital situation, unless it's like a Fairlight or something like that, it will start crackling and banging. It's just nasty. This is Jay's effects rack. You've got a great, I've got one of these as well, Yamaha Rev 7. That's just sounds really nice. I think that's on the vocals, isn't it? I think we've got, is that on the vocals?
Yeah, that's because the Lexicon 480 is in repair.
Oh, that's a shame. But yeah, the Rev 7 will have to do. This one here, this is it's only a basic one, but it's a nice TC Electronics dual engine effects unit.
Oh, that's in there because the SRV330 has been fixed, but I haven't put it back in yet. Thanks to Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Good, Alan.
SRV will be in soon. And then this is a great piece. This is the TC Electronics fireworks. I've got one of these. The TC Electronics fireworks, it's like being a blacksmith. You can sculpt the sound. It is awesome. We've got, these look like quad gates here. Yeah, Jay's giving me the nod. These are quad gates, these ones here. Then we've got all the patch bays. What you can't quite see, these ones here, that's for the headphone amp, so you can run multiple headphones to the different session players in the studio. And then over on the left here, we've got a bit of a jumble at the moment. We're going to have a bit of a sort out because we've only just put this all lot back in. You can probably see this is the massive desk power supply.
Thanks, Al.
Which is meant to be in the bottom of the rack. We've got to sort out. This is the SRV. Cheers, Al. We'll put that back in the rack soon. That's been repaired. A TLA audio compressor there. They're really good. We've got a DBX compressor.
We got more compressors. They're just not. They're everywhere.
The Alesis compressor.
Yeah. 3630.
Yeah.
Some shit.
Oh, we've got Antares auto tune in there. Good old. You don't have them on your computer. You used to have them in a rack.
Yeah.
And then you've got just down on the bottom there is a SMPTE unit. So you can stripe your tape, and then once your tape is striped, normally on channel 24 of the machine, the desk will read it, and then you can automate your faders. And SMPTE came from, can't remember what it stands for. It was used in motion pictures. So you can sync the film to the sound. That's where SMPTE originated from. And you record it on track 24 first, the whole length of your tape.
Striping the tape.
Striping the tape. And then, this has got a SMPTE reader on it, the desk. So then, the desk can read the SMPTE time code from the tape, channel 24. And then you can automate all the faders as it's reading the time code. No computer automation, no PCs anywhere, just it's all in the desk. So apart from the desk and the reel-to-reel, the most important thing in your studio is monitors or speakers, and a lot of people don't think this is, well, if you haven't done a lot of recording or you're new to it, it's probably the most important thing in your studio is the monitors, because it's what you hear. In the studio here we've got a pair of Mackie HR824s. I've got a pair myself. They are awesome. They're nice and compact. They've got a, what do you call them? Got a passive radiator in the back of them, so it extends the low bass on them. And they're active.
What does that mean, Si?
So active means instead of having to run a separate power amp, all the amplifiers are built in. So on active studio speakers you've got an active amp for the bass driver and an active amp for the tweeter. So it's all there, you just plug them straight into your desk. And that means you haven't got any speaker cables, you haven't got any loss of sound, it's straight in. They are awesome.
We hope you've enjoyed that episode of Take It Fair Out of Gear from me, Jason Bangers.
And for me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
Take care, we'll see you next time, guys.